So in today's quick tip, I'm going to show you how to create these massive minor 11th chords. I'm talking chords like this. So we're going to break that down. I'm going to show you step by step how to create these chords. All right, so first of all, let's talk about how to form these chords. So here it is on an F minor 11 chord, okay? Sometimes you might see a chord written as F minor 7. That doesn't mean you can't add the 11th in, right? So it's perfectly fine to interchange F minor 7, F minor 9, F minor 11. You can add all of those tensions in. So if you saw a chord that just said F minor 7, you could play this F minor 11 chord. Or you could play F minor 9 if you wanted to. Anyway, this is the F minor 11 chord. Now, let's break this down a little bit so you could see what each of the notes are. All right, so what we have down here is we have the root with our pinky, the fifth with our second finger, the ninth with the thumb, right? Now, if these stretches are too much for you, don't worry, I'm going to show you how you can alter this. Then with the right hand, we put the flat third, the flat seventh, and we come up to the 11th. The other thing to notice of what's going on is that these are intervals of a perfect fifth. Notice F to C is a perfect fifth, C to G is a perfect fifth. So two stacked perfect fifths. Perfect fifth, perfect fifth. And then in the right hand, it's the same thing. Starting on the flat 3, we go up a perfect fifth to the flat 7th, and from the flat 7th, we go up a perfect fifth to the 11th, right? So it's really two stacked perfect fifths a minor third apart, right? And we have this half step that's going on right in the middle there. It creates some nice bite. So it's a real nice open sounding chord, but then we have that bite right in the middle. You could roll it if you wanted to, like that, or just play it straight on, right? I would say if you're doing that, really use that grab technique so you can really kind of grab in there and grab that chord. Right? So there it is on F minor. Let's try it on G minor. So same thing, root, fifth, ninth, and then go up a half step, third, seventh, and 11th. Now, why is it 11th versus 4? Because when we are using it as a tension versus a replacement for a chord tone, then we're going to think of it as an 11. So I think of that as 11 rather than 4. All right, so now let's talk about how we can utilize this as an intro. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to play it on C minor, okay, which is this. Okay, so take a look at what I'm doing here. Again, root, fifth, ninth, the third, the seventh, and the 11th. And now what I do is I wrote this out two ways for you, okay? So this first measure and the second measure are exactly the same, but notice in the second measure you have that 8 VB, which means play all of this down an octave, all right? So I just wrote it like this in the second measure just to make it a little bit easier for you to read, okay? But it should be played like this, down here. So take a listen to this and then see if you could see which song it was that I went into. Right, so going into My Funny Valentine. So all I do is arpeggiate the chord, right? And what I'm doing is I'm putting the pedal down, pedal up, and then right back down. Into your song from there, okay? All right, so that works great as an introduction. Let's say that I wanted to use it also, to voice some of the melody, right? So if I go to something like Fly Me to the Moon, it's A minor, and of course this song and then My Funny Valentine, they're all found at Jazzedge Academy if you want to learn the full song. But anyway, so here's A minor, and then going to D minor. Those are the first two chords of Fly Me to the Moon. So here, you might say, okay, well, if I wanted to build that A minor 11 chord on the, on A, it'd be root, 5, 9, 3rd, 7th, 11th. Oh, but wait a second. That's not my melody note, right? The melody note is not D, the melody note is C. So what do? Just take that top note and bring it down to the C. So I could just alter the voicing just a little bit. Same thing when I go to that D minor. I mean, these are real, rich, beautiful chords, right? continue that idea out if you wanted to. But anyway, right here on A minor, so you see the only thing I do is I just move that 11th down to the C to make it work with the melody. Right? So you could use this as an introduction, you could use this chord as an ending, you could also just use this chord to kind of just create some of your own stuff. Let's say I did it on E flat, okay? Beautiful sound, right? So all I could do is... I could create some really cool improvisation. All I'm doing is just utilizing that chord. Maybe throwing a couple of notes from the scale, but really it's just utilizing the chord. All right, so now let's talk about alterations. So first of all, you know, like if I'm going to do like this chord, like say like on G minor, or here's another great example, A flat, right? So that might be quite a stretch for you right here in the right hand. All right, so what can I do? So first of all, this is the chord on G minor. So the first thing that I can do is, if this is too much of a stretch, then take this top note and bring it down to the 9th. Down here, the root, the 5th, and the 9th probably is not going to be as bad of a stretch for you as something like that in the right hand, right? So this is the first thing I could do. So rather than playing the 11th on top, I play the 9th on top, and that's what's going on right here, okay? So I'm playing the 9th on top. Or I could also change that left hand as well. So you see what I did here? Instead of playing the 9, I come down to the root. So this is just root, 5th, root. Most people should be able to play that, right? That's usually a pretty good range for about 90 to 95% of the population. You could usually play that. If for any reason this even causes you tension, leave the 5th out and just play octaves. All right, so if I do this and I do, in the right hand, I could do the 3rd, the 7th, and then the 3rd. So again, rather than playing the 11th, I just come down and I play the 3rd. Or I could do the 9th as well. So I can interchange all of this right here. I could take this left hand right here and play that right hand on top. Or I could do this, right? I could do, when I'm doing this one, I could do that, I could do that, that. So whatever I need to do to change that voicing around, I should do that because I want to make sure that I'm not going to hurt myself when I'm playing it. All right, so now this is to make it smaller. This one makes it bigger. Check out this voicing. So here, I'm going to play the root, the 5th, and the 3rd, but now I'm playing the interval of a 10th here, which is going to be difficult for some of you, I know. So if you can't reach this, don't worry about it, but if you want to try, you could always do this. Arpeggiate that left hand. But listen to what this sounds like when you play that all together. So think of it like this. I'm building an F major triad here. I'm just doubling the 5th of that F major triad, right? So this is an F major triad in second inversion, right? Root position, first inversion, second inversion. I'm doubling the 5th, and I'm just doing that. So that makes it a little bit easier. F major triad, so I'm building a triad on what? The flat 7 of the chord, right? F is the flat 7 of G minor. So I'm building an F major triad there. What if I went down to F minor? Well, that would be a what? E flat major triad. What if I went down to E flat? D flat major triad. What if I went down to D flat? B major triad. What if I went down to C? Think about it. Pause the video if you have to. It would be a B flat major triad. I mean, you can hear like those are some real nice big chords. So that's a way in which you can change it from being, you know, something like, change it from that, and you can make it even bigger with that triad there, adding in that 11. All right, so anyway, if you would like to get the practice actions and then have all this broken down for you, just go back to Jazzedge Academy/quick tips. All right, and then of course sign up for the free account if you haven't already done so. And thank you very much for joining me. I'll see you in the next quick tip.